Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a fascinating political puzzle. What happens when a major party claims to have 50 million supporters, throws a massive rally, and it's met with what our source calls a wall of silence? We're going to break down the event, the reaction, and what this all might mean for a major political relaunch in the years ahead.
All right, so let's start with the number that really kicks this whole story off. 50 million. I mean, just think about that for a second. That's how many signatures the Congress Party said it gathered for a petition, all focused on alleged election problems. It's a huge figure, right? And it was supposed to be the absolute centerpiece of their entire protest. And that leads us right to the central question this analysis is trying to figure out. What happens when you've got what you claim is proof of support from 50 million people? You hold this huge rally, and then, well, the mainstream media just kind of looks the other way. It's a pretty wild scenario. So, let's get into the specifics of the event itself. What was it all about? Well, the source describes this big rally at a pretty famous spot, Delhi's Ramlila Maidan. It was organized by the Congress Party, and they weren't pulling any punches with their main theme. They called it vote theft. And you know, their official agenda was pretty ambitious. The big goal here, according to the source, was to take this whole vote theft accusation and turn it into a major national conversation. And how are they going to do that? Well, they planned to challenge the Election Commission, question how the rules were being applied, and then, for the grand finale, hand over those 50 million signatures directly to the president.
Okay, so we've got the rally itself, but now we need to talk about the reaction, or maybe the lack of a reaction. The analysis we're looking at points to two totally different responses, one from the media and a completely different one from the ruling BJP party.
Now, according to the source, this is where things get really interesting. While one of the biggest opposition parties in the country is holding this huge rally, what was on primetime news? Well, the analysis says channels were covering things like the profile of a new BJP party worker or even a terror attack happening all the way in Australia. The source basically calls it a media blackout.
So what about the political counterattack? Well, the source lays it out pretty clearly. Instead of even touching the vote theft claims, the response was apparently to just change the subject entirely. The strategy, as you can see here, was to slap the opposition with some really heavy labels, completely shifting the conversation away from election rules and onto things like nationalism and religion. Which kind of makes you wonder, right? If this rally was meant for the public, but the public wasn't really hearing about it through the usual channels, what was the actual goal? Well, the source argues that the main mission wasn't really for the outside world at all. It was for an internal audience. It was all about boosting the morale of their own party members.
And the source points to this quote from the Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge as prime evidence. You can see how this statement isn't really for the average voter. It's a direct message to their own team, saying, hey, yeah, we've lost, but we're not dead. It's a rallying cry to reassure them that the party is still in the fight.
Now, a big reason for this morale problem, according to the analysis, is something that gets talked about a lot in Indian politics. It's the whole issue of party members switching sides, and it's often explained using this pretty vivid metaphor: the BJP washing machine. So how does this so-called washing machine work? Well, according to the source, the process is pretty straightforward. An opposition leader starts facing some serious corruption investigations. Then, they allegedly get an offer to switch parties. Once they join the ruling party, poof, the investigations reportedly just fade away. And that's exactly what Kharge was talking about in his speech. He was telling his people, don't be afraid of these agencies, stick with us.
Okay, so let's circle back to that vote theft claim. A big piece of it revolves around this, the Model Code of Conduct. Basically, these are the rules of the game for an election, designed to make sure the party in power doesn't have an unfair advantage. The source brings up the Bihar elections as a key example, claiming that illegal cash was handed out after the code was already active, which would be a huge violation.
All right, let's pull all these threads together now and look at the final piece of this analysis. Because, according to the source, all of this, the rally, the morale boosting, the pushback, it's all building toward a much bigger long-term goal: the political relaunch of the party's most famous face, Rahul Gandhi.
And this is a really crucial part of the story. The analysis points to a very deliberate shift in his public image. For years, the source claims, the mainstream media pushed this sort of caricature of him, but now a totally different picture is being painted, especially online and on social media, framing him as a more serious, intellectual figure. This timeline really drives home just how much the strategy has changed. Look, in 2014, 2019, and 2024, the party didn't officially put forward a prime ministerial candidate. But now, the source is claiming that a soft launch has already started to make it crystal clear that Rahul Gandhi is going to be the face for the 2029 election.
And if you needed any more proof, the source points to this statement made at the rally. I mean, it doesn't get much clearer than that, does it? It's a direct, no-nonsense declaration. They're not being vague anymore. They're openly naming their candidate for the top job a long, long time in advance.
So, at the end of the day, the analysis leaves us with a really big question. Are we seeing a real turning point here? A carefully planned long-term strategy to rebuild a party and completely rebrand its leader? Or is this just another move on a giant political chessboard? A battle for a story that might already be written by someone else? It's definitely something to think about.